You are standing in a softly lit nursery. You look down at the crib, watching the gentle, rhythmic rise and fall of your baby's chest. The air is perfectly climate-controlled. A baby monitor blinks on the nightstand, humming with white noise. In the bathroom down the hall, a cabinet is packed with sterile bandages, liquid antibiotics, and fever reducers. If the child cries, you turn on a light. If the child gets sick, you call a doctor. You are safe. Your child is insulated from the raw, indifferent violence of nature. Now delete all of it. Strip it away. Take back the medicine cabinet. Turn off the electricity. Smear the walls into mud and erase the glass panes. Take away the soft fabrics, the plastic toys, the formula, the diapers. Go back. 30,000 years back. You are standing in the pitch black of a primeval forest. The air is thick with the musk of predators you have no names for, only nightmares of. Your feet are sunk into freezing mud. Your fingers are raw, bleeding from a day of scraping hide. And in your arms, a newborn infant begins to cry. The sound rips through the canopy. In this world, a crying baby is not an inconvenience. It is a beacon. It is a high-stakes survival emergency. If that child does not stop screaming in the next 10 seconds, the wind will carry the sound to a hunting pack of cave hyenas. The entire tribe will pay for that sound with their lives. You have no walls. You have no lights. You have only your hands, your skin, and a desperate, terrifying instinct to keep that child alive until morning. This is the war of prehistoric parenting. Once the sun goes down, the world becomes a sensory deprivation chamber. The darkness is heavy, absolute, and alive. Inside the cave, the tribe huddles around a dying hearth. The baby stirs. It inhales to scream. Before the sound can leave its throat, you press it hard against your bare chest. Skin to skin, heartbeat to heartbeat. You jam your nipple into its mouth, letting the warm flow of milk choke out the noise. Silencing a child is a full-time defensive strategy. Prehistoric babies do not sleep in cribs 3 rooms away. They live glued to their mother's flesh. For the first 2 years of life, a nomadic infant rarely loses physical contact with an adult. The constant motion of your walking body calms their nervous system. The heat of your blood keeps their small lungs from freezing. If they cry, it means you have failed to anticipate their hunger, their cold, or their fear. In the silence of the Pleistocene, a quiet baby is the only baby that survives. But you cannot sit still. You are a nomad. The grass is dying, the herds are moving, and if the tribe does not walk, the tribe starves. Tomorrow morning, you must trek 15 miles across broken terrain to gather tubers and firewood. Your arms cannot be occupied with holding a child. You need your hands free to swing a digging stick or defend against a sudden strike from a big cat. So you innovate. You take a wide strip of cured bison hide, supple from hours of chewing, and drape it across your shoulder. You tuck the baby against your ribs, wrapping the leather tight around their spine, knotting it with sinew. This is the first baby sling. It is a piece of technology more vital to the survival of the human race than the flint arrowhead or the fire-hardened spear. It transforms the mother into a mobile life support unit. The baby rides the rhythm of your labor. They feel the jarring impact of your footsteps, the sway of your torso as you dig, the splatter of mud against their tiny legs. They learn the vocabulary of survival before they can speak. Then, the cough begins. It starts as a dry rattle in the child's throat. In the wilderness, a cold is never just a cold. A fever is a potential executioner. You do not have an emergency room. You have the forest floor. You crush charcoal from the edge of the hearth into a fine paste, mixing it with river water to soothe the child's bloated, parasite-ridden stomach. You track the damp edges of the marsh to harvest sphagnum moss, nature's sterile diaper and bandage, using it to wipe away the bloody discharge of a scrape before the rot sets in. You boil willow bark in a hollowed-out stone filled with water heated by dropped-in fire stones, forcing the bitter, aspirin-rich liquid down the baby's throat. Sometimes, the forest pharmacy fails. The infant mortality rate in this valley is 50%. Half of all children born into the smoke of these fires will never see their 5th winter. You know this. The elders know this. The heartbreak is not a shock. It is a permanent shadow over the tribe. You will carry a child for 9 months, give birth in the dirt while your sisters guard the perimeter with spears, and then watch that child slip away into a fever 3 weeks later. You will dig a shallow grave in the permafrost, line it with red ochre and wild flowers, cover it with heavy stones so the wolves cannot dig up the bones, and then you will pick up your basket and keep walking. You have no choice. The living still need to eat. But you are not fighting this war alone. You cannot. Human babies are born too early. Their brains are too big, their bodies too helpless. A single pair of parents cannot gather enough calories, defend against enough predators, and provide enough warmth to keep a human infant alive in the wild. Survival requires a machine. The machine is the tribe. This is the reality of alloparenting. When you step out of the camp to forage, you do not leave your child behind in danger. You pass the infant to a grandmother whose teeth are gone, but whose hands are steady. You pass them to an aunt, a cousin, an older sibling. The child does not belong to a nuclear family. They belong to the collective. The grandmothers are the repository of life. They do not hunt, but they remember. They remember which root cures the winter flux. They know how to mimic the low, soothing hum of a grazing herd to quiet a restless toddler. While the young mothers are miles away tracking patches of wild grain, a circle of elders sits around the fire, a web of wrinkled arms holding 3, 4, 5 babies at once. The milk may come from one breast, but the security comes from the entire circle. There is no concept of a protected childhood here. Play is not entertainment. Play is training. As soon as a child can walk, their education is lethal. They do not play with toys. They play with the debris of survival. A 3-year-old sits in the dirt, watching an elder strike a core of flint. The child picks up a sharp flake, mimicking the angle, cutting their own thumbs until the skin calluses over. They learn to read the dirt like a map. A bent blade of grass means a cave lion passed 3 hours ago. A pile of dry scat means fuel for the fire. A specific bird call means water is near. The children do not live on the periphery of adult life. They are integrated into the gears of the machine. They fetch wood. They carry water in animal bladders. They watch the horizon. They learn that their value to the group is measured by their silence, their utility, and their obedience. The tribe functions as a single organism, and protecting the young is not an act of sentimentality. It is the collective's primary defensive investment in its own immortality. Slowly, the camera pulls back. The smoke of the ancient hearth fire begins to fade, dissolving into the clean, sterile air of the modern world. The shadow of the mammoth bone shelter transforms into the drywall of your nursery. Look down at the child in the crib again. The blood moving through that baby's veins is an unbroken thread. It runs straight through the darkness, through the ice, through 30,000 years of terror, directly back to the mother holding her breath in the pitch black of the Pleistocene. Every single human being alive on this planet today is the survivor of a miracle. You are here because your ancestors ran an unyielding gauntlet of disease, starvation, and predation, and they did not drop the baby. Every one of us is the descendant of an infant that didn't die in the woods. A baby that was successfully held, protected, insulated, and kept completely silent through the coldest nights of human history by a community that refused to let the fire go out. We built this modern world of concrete, antibiotics, and absolute privacy to insulate our children from the cold indifference of nature. We won the war against the wilderness. But in separating ourselves from the dirt, the smoke, and the tribal circle, we traded the fierce, collective warmth of the pack for the quiet, anxious safety of isolation. We saved the child from the woods. And now, we must learn how to raise them alone in the quiet of the rooms we built.